I mean, it's really just about who in motion for real. Entrepreneurs, artists, scholars. If you making waves, man, come jump in the ocean. Ocean like Oceanside, but ocean like the entire Pacific Ocean, you feel me?
Hey, this your host, Tana Tay, and you are now listening to Motion of the Ocean podcast.
Yeah, sir. Ski. Episode 2, Motion of the Ocean. Man, we in town hall today. Very important guest, my brother, big bro, Jimmy Figueroa. Appreciate you, brother. Yes, sir. Super excited about this episode, man. Like, the motion that you've been on fully encapsulates, I think, what this podcast is about to me personally. Town council, community work, everything that's coming and everything that has been, man. I'm excited to jump in the ocean with you, big bro. I appreciate your time.
Love, bro. I think, you know what I mean, like just connecting with you and seeing your progress, bro, and like see what you're trying to build, seeing what you're trying to do here, man. It's an honor to sit down here with you, man, and be a part of your journey, man.
Appreciate it, big bro. All right, so talked a little bit off camera about where we're going. We're going to start right here, man. How does it feel to be in the position that you're in? Talk to me about where we're at. Talk to me about, like...
So we're in City Hall right now, on 3rd floor. You know what I mean? To be up here right now, like, City Hall, the actual, like, chambers is below us on the 2nd floor. I just finished a Police and Fire Commission meeting representing as a city council member. I think, man, like, just the amount of people and community support to get here, because this wasn't, like... You know, I've talked about, you know, pursuing this for many, many years, over a decade now, but this took an entire community to make happen. And so when I'm up here, it's like knowing that, like, I'm in this position representing a neighborhood. I'm in this position representing a community. I'm in this position, like, based on, like, the support that I just got from, like, you know, pretty much, man, our neighborhoods throughout Oceanside. And so it's like I walk into this space, man, every day, into this office every day. With that, you know what I mean? Like, I'm here for the people.
On me.
Yeah.
Crazy. So let's go back a little bit. I want to hear about you mentioned the neighborhoods. So you're from Tri-City, and you got ties with Libby. You got ties pretty much everywhere, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
From obviously my understanding. But if you want to take us through, you know what I mean, that little journey of just of your timelines in the neighborhoods in Oceanside.
Yeah, man. Born and raised in Oceanside, Tri-City Hospital. My family has always lived. Like, my immediate family, since I've been born, we have always lived within, like, a mile radius of Tri-City Hospital. You know, when I was first born, we rented a room from a family, like, in the Mid-Valley. And this is, like, you know, a newborn. It was me and my brother and my mom and dad. We rented a one-bedroom from one of my mom's coworkers. And they had a domestic dispute where, like, that couple we were renting a room from, they got into it. And then I believe the wife's brother came back and started shooting up the house, like trying to shoot, like, the husband. Damn. We were in the room, like, you know, I'm a newborn, like, just born, like, bullets flying through, you know, the room and all that. And at least that's what was shared with me. And so we got up out of there, like, shortly after, and we moved to Center Street.
Okay.
And we had an apartment there for like a year or two, and then finally my family. We ended up getting like a condo, one of those duplexes over there in Tri-City on Thunder and Thibodeau, like directly across the street from where the CarMax is now. Okay. Right there in that DMV community. And so that, you know, in the 80s, that was one of the neighborhoods within Tri-City, and it still is, but that was like one of the neighborhoods. And this is like pre In and Out over there. Like, there used to be a Lucky's where the TJ Maxx is, and there was a Thrifty's, and I think a Round Table Pizza. Like, but this is like before, like, that area was starting to get developed. Right. And then we ended up moving closer to Maricosta on that side of Tri-City. Okay. So I spent a lot of time growing up, like, between, like, Raintree Apartments, which now is Bernard Courts. We used to go play ball over there. They had like a caged-in basketball court, all the way to, like, Sherborne Park, which is Sepulveda Park, but we call it Sherborne Park. Sherborne Apartments, which is like Centera Apartments. And then a lot of my family on my mom's side started moving to, like, the John Landis community. Okay. This is like late 80s, 90s, and that ended up being like my Oceanside, essentially. Like, and then that area, because I lived on the Oceanside Unified School District of Tri-City, I went to Lincoln Middle School. And so when I went to Lincoln Middle School, I immediately, my cousin, Menyo, he lived in South O, and he grew up going to Ditmar and all that. He immediately, like, the first day of school at Lincoln, it was like I connected my homies from Tri-City, and then he had his homies like from like what used to be like Nevada and Clementine and all that.
Yeah.
And our two groups just like linked. You know what I mean? It was Samoans, blacks, Mexicans, like, but all very like Oceanside, right? And so that I started coming down here on the 302 like every weekend. Like we'd get out of Lincoln and we'd walk up to the Boys and Girls Club, play ball, and then just like kick it at the beach. And like that became like my Oceanside. It started being like coming down on the 302. And then when, where I lived, it's El Camino. So like at that time, we didn't have school choice. Like, so it was like El Camino is like the high school that I'm going to go to. I was supposed to go to Clara Bergner because of I didn't graduate from middle school. Now like that started getting in trouble at an early age. But because I could play ball, like the agreement was pretty much if I go to summer school and get a 2.0, I can go to El Camino.
Okay.
And so I went to El Camino. I never played ball because I never ended up getting the grades or nothing like that. But the moment I got to El Camino, very similar, man. Like I got connected to everyone in the valley.
Right.
Like based off of like going to that school, and now I'm hanging out in the deep a lot.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't unknown neighborhoods or nothing like that. It's just this is where like the homies live.
Right.
And I always tell people, man, like you can live in Oceanside, you can come here as an adult and live here for 30 years, and you won't get the same experience based on someone who grew up here who went to these schools, because like when you were raised here, you get those experiences like, oh man, I played sports, or I went to school with the homies over there like on the east side or in Center Street or like in downtown or in the mid. Now you go to this high school and you get connected to like other people, and so like you really get to experience the city in a different way.
Right.
And that was pretty much like how I got like where I have like these relationships in different neighborhoods, but also I have a big family, man. And so like when my family immigrated from Mexico to the United States, we initially lived in Solana Beach and Encinitas, and those communities used to be affordable. Like it wasn't how it is now. And you know, when they got gentrified, everybody moved to Oceanside where they could afford. And so I have family who's lived in all the neighborhoods. And so like I always had cousins like on the east side. I always had cousins in Center Street. I always had cousins in Mesa or in the Deep or like just different parts. So it was like it's a real like Oceanside like you know upbringing.
For sure.
Yeah.
Really, really tied in.
Yeah.
Damn, man. When we talk about the upbringing leading into, you know, in my opinion, the success in the career, I'm hearing you talk about you didn't even graduate from middle school. You almost went to CBA. How does a student, and what were you going through at that time in your life, that you went from barely getting out of middle school alive to attending Cal Berkeley out of Maricosta?
Yeah,
like
man.
What shifted, and when did you start taking your education seriously?
Shout out to Faye Pau Pau. You know what I mean? Like Faye Pau Pau was a security guard at Lincoln Middle School when I was there, and he was the first person that I experienced within the school district that understood. You know, he came out, I believe, from Long Beach or like Wilmington or something like that, down to Oceanside, and he had the lived experiences of like going through a lot. And he really connected with a lot of the students like from our communities that like we didn't really see education as like a pathway, right? Because no one in our family had ever, like we hadn't seen that displayed to us like as being a route of success, like, or even as like having immigrant parents. I think that's where like our Samoan community, Filipino community, Mexican community kind of relates, where it's like we have these, like a lot of us have immigrant parents or like first gen, and it's like they have this idea of the American dream, and they're like, this is why we're here, but being born here, it's like there's a disconnect of like, man, like this is like, I don't have a pathway to like obtain that, you know what I mean? And so like, for me, I was getting in trouble when it came to school in elementary school. When I got to middle school, it was more of like, man, I'm not really trying to do this at all. Like, so I had a truancy officer back then. And it was Tim Ware. Tim Ware, former Charger player. He was a truancy officer for a lot of my homies. And it was pretty much like truancy, like you get put on SARB. And if you miss a certain amount of days, you go to juvenile hall. Like that is kind of like the process. I lived in after-school detention. When I got to school, like this is middle school, man. When I got to school, it was like fourth period. You know what I mean? If I went. And all Fs, like always suspended. I was like, man, suspend me. I was like, I'd rather just get suspended than like come to school. And it's not like I had both of my parents, amazing parents, but like, you know, they have to be at work at 6 a.m. They're getting home late. And so like, it's not that, it was just that they have to go to work to provide. They're gone by 6. So like, I might not make it to school, you know what I mean? And to me, it was just like, I wasn't the only one. And so it was like pretty much like my circle of friends at that time, no one was gangbanging or nothing like that. It was just like, we didn't see that as an avenue. We all wanted to play sports though, but none of us wanted to go to school. But Faye was like someone that would always just like pour life into us and like plant seeds and tell us like, nah, man, y'all got potential. Like, you don't got, like, don't be stupid. Like, you got an opportunity here. And if you choose to do otherwise, like, there's something for you. Like, incarceration is real. Like, you know, there's systems put there that if that's the route you want to take, like, this is what's going to happen. And man, that stuck with me, because when I got to high school, I was supposed to go to CBA, and you know, I ended up, because I could play ball, it was more of like, just go to summer school and get a 2.0 and you can go to El Camino and don't get suspended during summer school. And but once I got to El Camino, man, it was the same thing. Like, I think I had like 15 credits by the end of my sophomore year or something like that, and I ended up pretty much getting the boot from El Camino at the end of my junior year. I only had like 60 credits, and I had missed, like, my junior year, I missed like 40 some days or 50. It was bad. It was like, I remember the last week of school, I had a meeting at OPD, and they, with probation and SARB and all that, they pretty much told me, if you miss one period, like, you're going to juvenile hall. And so, like, I remember I went to every period that last week of school, and I was like, I ain't never coming back. Like, this is not for me. But a lot of stuff was happening, like, outside within, like, my group of friends, like, where a lot of stuff that Fahy said was going to happen was starting to happen. Like, you know, some of my friends are getting shot or shot at, or they're involved in shootings. Some of my homies are now, like, catching, like, sentences, like, getting arraigned at county. Pretty much everything that he said was going to happen when I was in middle school, and I was like, man, that might have happened to you. It's not going to happen to me. Like, I know what I'm doing. I'm smarter than that. Like, but when I started unfolding in my life, I was like, man, I got to start making some changes. So it's crazy for, like, the things that he shared with me when I was 12 and 13 started resonating with me when I was, like, 16, 17.
Right. You know, and I've always thanked them for that, man. And so, like, I ended up getting a GED from the Maricosta Community Learning Center. And that's why I have so much love for Maricosta, because the moment I got there, they just, like, embraced me in a way that I had never been embraced by any institution prior to that. And when I ended up going to Berkeley and I graduated, man, right after I graduated, I went to Oceanside High School, because that's where Faye is, and I gave him a thank you letter. And, man, it's like, just to let him know, like, man, like, even though this is now, like, I'm like 25, 26, when I graduated from Berkeley, I don't remember, it was something like that. I was able to, like, just say, man, I would have never have done that without you believing in me, like, 12 years, 13 years ago. Right.
You know what I mean? So
that's beautiful.
That's the power of mentors, you know what I mean?
Right.
And having people in our schools and after school programs that, like, believe in our kids despite, like, what their grades are or what maybe people are saying about them. Having someone that can see them and, like, pour into them.
Is resilience still around?
Yeah. Resilience is in year 7 now. Year 6, year 7.
How do I get involved, man? I'm trying to volunteer.
Yeah, man. So, like, Resilience is a special program because it was the first of its kind in San Diego County. It's a program that specifically was created to mentor youth on juvenile probation. And all of the mentors were former gang members from Oceanside, you know, who had been formerly incarcerated. When we first started the team, all the mentors had 2 strikes. And it was pretty much a reputable from every neighborhood in Oceanside. As much as we tried to do the best that we could to get one from every neighborhood, and we did a pretty good job, but we essentially have, like, someone that was part of DVB, someone that was part of DVC, someone that was from Center Street. When we first started the program, we had someone that was from Pasola. And so we did the best that we could to get, like, you know, someone that was involved in human trafficking to service these kids, and not necessarily, like, because they were former gang members. It was more to, like, believe in the kids that were active gang members, to just say, like, not for them to preach about their story, but to walk alongside them, because given their lived experience of the mentors, they were going to have the patience of what it was going to take to walk alongside a kid that's going to still reoffend and get locked up again, who's going to probably, like, slip up and use and pop dirty, but you're not going to give up on them, and you're going to be alongside them during this path of, like, transition and transformation, which is not overnight, man. It can take years. You know what I mean? Especially for someone that's active and it's not even considering a different lifestyle. You know what I'm saying?
So you said you were, like, obviously a part of starting that program?
Yeah.
Is that technically a nonprofit?
It is, and so Resilience operates under the Vista Community Clinic. So it's a program within the Vista Community Clinic, but the program didn't exist. So I helped create that program and launch it from pretty much an idea to, like, now, when we first started the program, we had 3 years of funding with 2 optional years if it was working. And the goal was to reduce recidivism, the recidivism rate, which pretty much is like how they track people reoffending and going back to custody on new charges. And they just wanted us to reduce recidivism by 5% amongst the kids that we were serving. And these were kids that at the time people were like, these are lost causes. Like, they were considered Oceanside's highest risk youth, gang documented, like, you know. And at the end of the day, I was like, man, they're 15, they're 16. Right. They're not like, to adults, they're mad respectful. You know what I mean? It's just like they turn up when they're around like someone from another neighborhood, but when it comes to like you and I, like, no, they're mad respectful. Like, you know, they have dreams too. Right. It's just they're in this environment and they're operating with the tools that they have, which is not a lot. And so we created that program, but it was under the Vista Community Clinic. And by the time, after 4 years, we had reduced recidivism by 80% amongst that group. Yeah. And so just last year or a year and a half ago, they got renewed for another 5 years. So a program that was just an idea, you know, when I first started going to Maricosta, my whole goal was like, I was 20 years old, GED, and they had us take these placement tests, and I did really bad because I stopped essentially going to school like in seventh, 8th grade. So like I placed really bad when it came to like the English and math. And so they said, man, you're gonna take all these remedial classes just to get to like college level. But my whole goal was like, man, I want to do something in life that when my homies come home from prison, because by that time I had a lot of my boys were in prison, it was like I want to be able to give them opportunities. Like that's what like activated me, you know what I mean? And that was in 2006. And so I was 20 years old in 2006. So like here it's like now 2017, and I get the opportunity to launch this program. What I initially like started to go to community college for, and by now I have my law degree. You know what I'm saying? And so like to create a program to be able to provide these opportunities to people that I had relationships with that had 2 strikes and that were from Oceanside was everything. And to now know that we just got renewed another 5 years, that program that was an idea in 2028 is going to celebrate a 10-year anniversary one day. You know what I'm saying? So it just shows the power of like, of you know, believing in yourself, but also like if you see a gap in the community, just because it doesn't exist doesn't mean you can't create it yourself. You know what I mean?
Snippet. Snippet. That was fire, bro. That was fire. I'm low-key trying to jump into the nonprofit game, community organizing as well. Like, you spent some time up in the Bay. You know, up there, they got it jumping, man.
Active.
A lot of game to get soaked up from up there. And, specifically the Pacifica community, I was like, damn, bro, like, they moving up there. So I'm trying to bring something home. So I'm going to definitely be tapping in for just, like, a little tidbit advice of how to, you feel me, get a community org off the ground, nonprofit and all that. That's so dope. But we're talking about mentorship. If you want to shed a little light on that journey as a mentor, how you, like you said, I kind of got the background on how you felt like that was important to get into, but yeah, just like I want to follow in your footsteps and mentor, you feel me, the little Usos that are coming up right now. So just speaking on
man, like again, Fa'i Pow Pow has been my model. Like I've always approached building relationships with youth with the way that he approached building relationship, not just with me, but like my boys, my cousins that were at that school with me, like all of us. So we can all look back and just say, man, even when he had to like come pull us out of class to take us to the principals, knowing that we're going to get suspended, like he always did it with the level of like, man, you knew this dude cared. Right. You know, and he did it in a way where he was always like trying to plant seeds in us, plant seeds of hope. And so like I've always taken that approach as a mentor. Because essentially that's how I see myself. I see myself as a mentor, not necessarily as a council member or like these other roles. Like I'm in this space because I feel like I've been an impactful mentor to a lot of people.
100%.
And so, but it was always with like, man, it takes time. Like it's not for everyone, because I think that some people can like get really disappointed with another individual's process. You know what I'm saying? Like, that person may have to go through some of the trials that you're trying to prevent them from going through, that you're even trying to like, man, I see you're about to crash. Right. And I'm trying to prevent you from crashing. But some people have to crash. Right. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it's a process that for me, it's like it's all about planting seeds, and you never know. You might not even be there to see those seeds grow, right? It may take 30 years. Like when Faye was planting seeds in me at the age of 12, 13, he's probably thinking like, man, this kid ain't never like, you know what I mean? Because at that time I was like, man, I ain't trying to hear that. You know what I mean? And that was like, I was at Lincoln in 98, 99. But here I was, like, when I graduated from Berkeley, it was I was 2012, something like that. So, like, here I am, like, 14 years later, coming back and saying, bro, I would have never done this without you.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm sure he was probably thinking, like, wait, what? Like, what you talking about, man? But that dude was at my wedding. You know what I mean? Like, I try to, like, pretty much, like, replicate that, you know, as much as I can, but knowing that it takes time. And I think that's how you, like, everyone can talk about doing something, but really having an impact, man, like, takes an investment. And it's not just about using your words, you know what I mean? A lot of times it's about just, like, being alongside someone and listening to them as they're going through it, and not always telling them what they should be doing, but like, man, all right, man, we're going to figure this out together. And I'm going to walk alongside you, and if you ain't ready right now, that's okay. You know where I'm at when you are ready. And just know that you're always going to find consistency from me. Right. Like, I'm not going to, like, I'm going to be solid. I'm going to be a solid individual in your life. And, you know, it's about planting the seeds. You know what I mean? And so, like, but that's pretty much, like, we all need mentors, man. Like, I still need a mentor. You still need a mentor. You know, we can't do nothing on our own. Like, I think about that when it comes to being a father, being a husband, like, being a council member now. You know what I mean? Like, who can I tap into that's kind of had this level of responsibility of representing a neighborhood and a community that hasn't felt represented, and be in this space and making sure that, like, I'm guided properly as I'm trying to navigate this new space that I'm in, you know?
Game on game, bro. I appreciate you. Well, you mentioned the husband and the fatherhood. Let's talk a little bit more into the personal life, man. Like, how did I think of all the things, like, I look up to you a lot for a lot of different things, community involvement, like that whole, like, I said I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Yeah. But I think the number one thing I look up to you on is that fatherhood tip. And as we've kind of talked about off camera, like my fatherhood journey is about to start, you know, T-minus. Right. So, yeah, just talking about a little bit of your journey through fatherhood, your journey through as being a husband. When did you meet your wife?
I met my wife. The first time I saw her was at Maricosta College.
Dope.
Like, I was working there as a student ambassador. It was my last year at Maricosta.
Under JG? Nah.
Nah. I was. He came in afterward.
Okay.
So at this time it was Lisa Montes, who was another, like, mentor of mine, someone who just believed in me. Like, there's been multiple Faye Papaus. Right. You know, during the different seasons of my life, and some have been a part of this journey. You know, some may have came in the 90s, others joined, like, in the early 2000s, but they've all played an impact in my life. And I remember seeing my wife walk through, like, the sliding doors right there, the student services. Yeah. I was like, damn, who's that? You know what I mean? Yeah, and so I was like, I was trying to get her, like, I think I'll be honest, I was a little intimidated to just go and talk to her. And so, like, I would see her. I saw her on campus, like, 2 more times, but I didn't talk to her. And then right before I was getting ready I had been accepted to Berkeley, and I was getting ready to move up to the Bay. And I had never left Oceanside in my life. Like, I had never been north of Ventura County. Like, Oceanside has always been, like, my world. You know what I mean? Like, as a kid, we didn't get the opportunity to go to Mexico a lot. As kids, we didn't have the money. So, like, my dad was like, and my dad wasn't connected to his side of the family. And most of my mom's family was here. And my cousins would go back, but, like, for whatever reason, like, my family and I, we went once when I was, like, 7. And so, like, I say that to say that my world was Oceanside. I didn't even have a connection to where, like, my family's from. And so Oceanside was everything to me. You know what I mean? Like, College Boulevard, like, the streets of, like, Oceanside, like, is, like, when I say Tri-City, like, the alleys, the neighborhoods, like, the parks, like, that's my world. The 302 was, like, my plane. You know what I mean? The 302, the 333, the 313 and the 303. Those were, like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, that was it. And so I saw my wife a few days before I'm getting ready to move to Berkeley. I went to a Bible study, and I showed up, and she was sitting right there, and I was like, oh snap, that's the girl from Maricosta. You know what I mean? And so, like, she ended up getting connected to some of my close friends, and she like started watching their kids when I was in Berkeley. So I would tap in with my boy, and I'm like, hey, what's up with so and so? And he was like, oh man, you know, she's like, you know, she babysits the kids sometimes. I'm like, all right, bet. Like when I come home for Christmas break, you know what I mean? Let me know if she's gonna babysit, and I'm gonna try to like swing by. And we ended up seeing. They invited her over to like a New Year's Eve party, and I was home for the break, my first break, and she was there. And so like, I think like 4 days later we went on our first date, and then that was that, man. We did long distance the entire time I was at Berkeley. Yeah, man. So I would hop on that Greyhound, man. Talk about an experience, dog. Like I would. This is love, dog. Or like at that time I was just like I knew, right? But like my last day of class was on Thursday. I would catch the 72 bus route from Berkeley to downtown Oakland. I'd catch the bus like around 9:30 at night, get to downtown Oakland to get to the Greyhound station in Oakland, and take the Greyhound, the 11:30 p.m. Greyhound to downtown LA. But in the meantime, we got to stop like in Fresno, Bakersfield, Modesto, and I'm always sitting next to someone that just got out. Like they want to tell me their whole life story about like, you know what I mean? How it wasn't like, it would be like, yeah, bro, like I kid you not, bro. I've been in conversations where the dude will start like, yeah, so I just got out. And then like we end up in Oceanside and they're like, yeah, so that's how I'm here. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm like, damn, man, I was just trying to listen to music the whole way. Right. We'd get to downtown LA like around 4, I think, and then we would have a layover there for 2 hours, and then to Oceanside. Yeah. And I did that like, man, I've been on that Greyhound. Like when I see the Greyhound down here at the Sprinter Station, bro, it brings back so many memories because I did that Greyhound trip every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I would study. Greyhound had a thing too where it was $1 from downtown Oakland, downtown LA, if you bought your ticket 21 days in advance. So I would just buy every weekend, you know, it was $5, whatever round trip would do like $8. And then it was $14 from LA to Oceanside. And if I didn't come, I didn't come, but at least I had the ticket to come. But man, like we did that long distance the entire time, man. And so it's like, yeah, bro.
Worth it though. I mean,
it was worth it, yeah, man. We've been married. We got married in 2013. So like we've been married, you know, 11 years. So, yeah.
That's so dope, man. Yeah, man. That's so dope. All right, we're talking about the campaign. Moving into this little part of the section is, I feel like not all, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I could definitely be wrong. I don't feel like very many people running for local city council or local political positions utilize social media. We're talking strategy here. Yeah. Not only are you dumb tied in, like I know, shout out Eric Joyce. I met him a little bit, but like I remember asking him, like, oh, you go to EC or Oceanside? So, oh, you know, I'm from da-da-da-da-da-da, and I just got here and I love it here. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But not only, obviously, you got the hood love because you've been here, you put in work here, but I think talking about the strategy of social media or just the strategies in general, talk to me about that journey. Like,
yeah, man, I think that we looked at it like, when I say we, because it was a team effort, you know what I mean? And so when I first decided to run for council, like I knew I was going to run for office in 2024 and 2020. You know what I mean? So little by little, like even developing the social media platform, it started in 2020 to prep for 2024. And even like anything I posted, I was always like thinking 2024. And obviously I'm very blessed that like Andres and Daniel from Mad Strange, the owners of Mad Strange,
salute,
are like some of my closest friends. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I met Daniel at Maricosta. We were ambassadors together. Oh, like that's how we connected. Like me and Daniel have been.
Shout out Costa, man.
Me and Daniel like became homies in 2009. You know, working for Maricosta College, and then I think Andres, who was like essentially the founder of Mad Strange, was like 7th grade or something. I don't even like. He was young. He was a little kid, and so like I've known his family way back when. Even when he first was like, yeah, man, I'm thinking about starting a teacher company. Like, you know what I mean? And thinking about it like. But having them as like someone I can bounce ideas off of, or even having them come around and like, hey man, like where you at? And I'm like showing my location. Oh, we're finna pull up, and then they would pull up, just take quick pictures, and then Dropbox like all the content to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Having that is unique, and so like I'm very thankful for that because I, you know, essentially, like, Mad Strange helped develop like my campaign. the look, feel of it. Like Andres did all of my posters, created my logos, did a lot of just like the content creation around the
was
campaign.
blessed.
Yeah, man.
He got the
and
eye
it was
for
like
it. He got the eye for
flyers, like I mean, just so much. He did my yard signs, the small business posters that we were putting at the. Like we created these small business posters that looked like a movie coming soon, and we put all the neighborhoods, and we put it like at the barber. We specifically went to barbershops, and like the Mexican like markets and like small businesses that have just always been supportive. But he did the yard signs, all of that, and then Daniel did a lot of the video, and then there was times that Juancho would tap in. Juancho did a few videos that were just super dope. When I got the Hometown Hero video, he was also there for like my initial kickoff at John Landis, did a super dope video for that. My first time when campaigning, he documented the whole thing. My boy Brock Wood, who is also an amazing like photographer, videographer, he did some of it, and it was just like the homies,
right?
But having the opportunity to have people like that in my life, Belief in Fatherhood is one of my best friends, who's developed a dope platform, and he's always someone that I can always like just reach out to and just like not ask, but like, hey man, like what's up, like what are you using, you know what I mean? Because I think that was one of the big things for me too, that like with Andres and Daniel, they were always like watching them work, and I was like, oh, what are you guys using? Like, what, I'm just gonna play with this,
right?
So this way I'm not always dependent. Like they can send me things that are unedited, and I can edit it on myself and put them together if I have the time.
Right.
But the strategy was always very much like we weren't going to be able to raise the money that like my opponents were going to be able to raise, because my opponents were being supported by the developers. So the people that like are trying to like build an Oceanside, you know what I'm saying? And we were very grassroots, but I knew no one was going to be able to do social media like us, you know what I mean? And so like we were creating content like frequently, and we knew like Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm dropping this. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm dropping this for this purpose. So it was either to engage more volunteers or to continue to inform the community about issues in the district, and also the power of like our community voting. But it was very intentional, like from beginning to end. And to this day, man, like my Dropbox of content and videos and photos, like it's still like so much that I haven't been able to like put out yet. And then tapping in with you, man, you and Mario, like Mario came in the clutch, like you guys came in the last like,
shout out, brother.
And we met, I think we talked about this like in July.
Yeah, we did.
And you guys were like, all right, this is dope. We'll start doing it in October, because I specifically reached out to y'all to help me tap in with the like 17 to 21. You know what I mean? And so y'all were like, cool, we're in, but right now it's too early. Like this audience, like we need to get them like the last 2 weeks before the election. Because if we go any like, and just having that level of knowledge and what y'all were already doing, it wasn't like, I was like, cool, bet. And so like, sure enough, man, like the last 2 weeks, and then it was like Matt Strange was flooding, Mario and you were flooding, other people were sending me content, and then that led to more people were like, hey man, can I come through? Like, where you gonna be at? And I was like, man, I appreciate it, and so like it was just a lot of energy. But we can replicate that with other neighborhoods and other people running office, you know what I mean? Like that was the goal. The goal was to like, my district is the biggest district in Oceanside, like land-wise, geographic, because it runs from South O all the way to RBV, high school, and it covers everything south of Oceanside Boulevard. But the middle of it is Tri-City, and that's the underserved part of the district, because the other rest of the part of the district is kind of surrounded by money. But if we can tap into Tri-City, we knew we would win. But Tri-City was a part that people were like, man, don't spend no time there, like they don't vote.
I remember that.
You know what I mean? And I was like, man, they might not vote for you, but you know what I mean? They'll vote for me. But I knew we had to empower them. And we always looked at Tri-City like, if we can show that we can win this district with Tri-City, or Tri-City being, not necessarily just with Tri-City because we needed like the entire district to vote, but to be a factor, then Libby can be a factor for District 2. Greenbrier can be a factor for District 1. Center Street and Posola have always been a factor, but they can even have a larger, to the point that folks have to canvass there. You have to tap in with those neighborhoods. Like you can't win this district without tapping in with those communities. And in the past, it's always been like, well, if you get the time, spend some time, maybe you'll get some votes.
Right.
And no, it's like, no, we have to make these communities a factor. You have to check in.
Yeah.
If you don't check in, you ain't winning.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so like that's what we wanted to show with Tri-City, where I think we showed that it's like, no one's ever going to win District 3 unless you check in with Tri-City. And it makes them a factor. So now that I'm in office, I can go back and say, no, we want lights at John Landis Park. You know what I mean? We want, like, some of the challenges and issues that they've had. We got to address these.
Right.
Like, they're a factor.
Damn, man. I'm like stuttering for words almost. Like, that's just so powerful. I kind of told, like, my close friends, I was like, man, it's either going to go down like this for me. I'm either going to get into politics at the local level or get my doctorate degree. One or the other. Before I die, like, that's
or both.
Getting all that, like, yeah, or, like, why not both? But, like, I don't know, like, just either one of those is a huge, like, just stepping stone, I feel, for my future generations and stuff. And now to hear what that looks like and how that's been done, man, like, just, yeah, this is a terrible podcast interviewing, but I'm just like,
no, you're
lost
good,
of words, man. That's so dope, man.
I'll tell you, man, that because I would hear from people that do, like, that have been involved in politics for quite some time, like, kind of like telling us, like, at times telling me, like, I think you need to focus on X, Y, and Z. And I was kind of like, nah, man. Like, I know at the end of the day, like, I know my city.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I said, like, this is the only place I've really been, like, in my life to this, you know, for the most part. Like, and so I was like, I know my community, man. And so, and then just being able to bounce ideas off of, like, having, like, Man Strange and you guys, you and Mario, and, you know, other people that are really tapped in with the different, you know, pockets of Oceanside. I was like, nah, man, like, we're on the right track. Like, people may understand, like, campaigning and politics, and there is a science to it, you know what I mean?
For sure.
And so it's just, but at the same time, I was like, man, I know my city. And I was like, man, I really believe that, like, we can activate this community. And, like, and if we don't activate Tri-City, or if we don't prioritize it and be intentional about activating Tri-City, if we don't do it, who will?
Nobody.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, and if I lose on that, then I lose on that.
Right.
But, like, that has to be the priority, because I was like, then what's the point?
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think that was the powerful thing. You know what I mean?
The whole situation is powerful, but okay. And in the light of politics, let's take it to the future. Let's look forward a little bit. I mean, it's me and Twin were just talking about this on the way here. Like, we're walking up to town hall right now to do an interview. You know what I mean? And we had just met, like, not just met with you, but we had met with you in July talking about everything. And it's just the power of not so much manifesting, but just, like, we doing what we, you know what I mean? We're doing what we said we're going to do, and that's just insane. But in that moment, we were talking about, like, relishing the moment. Like, man, like, just taking an appreciation for being where we're at, where our feet are at, putting our feet in the ground. It's like, damn, this is beautiful. And then you showed us the views and, like, the offices. Like, we would have never, I feel like, had these experiences and just opening our eyes to, you know, what's possible. The question being, following up, is where are we going? Where are we taking the career in politics? I know mayor is probably, like, definitely on the to-do list. Where do you see it going past that? Do you see it going any further? Or what you
man,
thinking?
to be honest with you, like, people have been asking me, like, what my priorities are now that I'm in office. I'm like, man, my priorities are to address all of the things that people share with me when I knocked on their doors. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times what I got from the residents, and I've been there too as an advocate, like, we get frustrated with things that we've been asking for that seem so simple. And it's like, I don't understand why this can't be done. And my goal for, you know, at least my first two, like, these years, is to address all of those things that the people in my district share with me, that, like, man, can we get a stop sign here? Cars are speeding up and down this road and we got kids playing. Can we get lights at this park? Can we bring, like, can we cover up these potholes on this street? Like, when we drive down other streets, we don't see potholes, but when you come into our neighborhood, they're everywhere, right? That is my goal, like, to prioritize the things that, like, for what may seem like small to other people, like, there's nothing bigger to that neighborhood than addressing that, right? And to make those a big deal, you know, here for the city. But after that, again, like, representation matters, and the things that we can do to continue to uplift our city and preserve a part of our city that a lot of us feel like we're losing. I think that, like, Oceanside is developing, you know, but as it develops, like, we can't lose the heart and the culture of what's always made us Oceanside, and what brings our Samoan, Mexican, Black, Filipino, Asian, like, white, like, Osiders all together. There's something about here that people always say, like, tell me, like, man, like, yeah, y'all got different neighborhoods and it's a diverse, but damn, y'all are proud. Like, at the end of the day, people are proud to be from Oceanside, and there's a unity here that you don't see in other spaces, and collectively continuing to build off of that as a community. But for me, like, Oceanside is it, you know what I mean? Like, My heart is here, and my goal is to like really create opportunities for others like us, and hopefully bring more opportunities for our families to be able to stay here, you know. And right now my heart and my passion is focused on that, because this was always like the dream,
Right.
you know what I mean, and my dream and like my whole purpose from like pursuing college from a GED was always like, how do I help my community and bring more resources to my community, to improve the quality of life for those that, you know, call Oceanside home.
Mean the most to us too.
And then again, I always approach every year like, okay, like what are my words for this year? Last year it was like, I want to be impactful. Like I feel like I've done a lot, but there's times I feel spread thin, and it's like, am I having an impact? Like, am I having it like, or am I just doing a lot of little things? You know what I mean? And I really wanted to be impactful last year. This year it's about like, okay, like how do I, now that I have this role, really lean into the discipline part of my day, lean into the discipline part of how I spend my time, to really, you know, continue to have an impact. But that's kind of like my word for 2025 is like discipline.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so again, it's like you pursue a dream, and I tell people all the time, it's like when you run for office, you're literally running. Like you're on the go nonstop. And y'all saw me this past year. Like I was like
everywhere,
from one thing to the next. But that's not sustainable, right? But with discipline, now I can, you know, check the boxes of addressing those needs that everyone shared with me, and you know, and I think that's what I owe to those who voted me into office. You know what I mean? Yeah. And even for those that didn't vote for me, like I think one thing that I can show them is like, man, like you have someone here that's truly going to represent the interests of the people.
Yeah.
You know?
How do you you kind of talked about it with the discipline tip, but diving a little bit deeper into it, we're gonna wrap it up soon. But this is one of my final questions: balancing fatherhood, being a husband, town council. Whatever, like I'm sure there's way more list of responsibilities you have. Well, talk to me about the balance of it all.
And I think that's the most important thing, because I think, you know, when I told my wife yesterday, like my wife's always challenging me, you know what I mean, to grow, to be better, like to not stay stagnant. Like just because something worked last year doesn't mean it's going to work. You know what I mean? We want to improve. Like, and for me, the discipline, a lot of it is like, because I have this big responsibility of, you know, being a city council member, there's still the biggest responsibility I have in life is to be the best husband I can be to my wife and the best father I can be to my daughters, right? And so it's like the discipline part of it is also to make sure that there's a balance of like my daughters and wife always know that they're the main priority, and that they have, and then that I am prioritizing them with my time, my attention, and my focus. But still being the best council member that I can possibly be, right? So that's not going to happen by accident. Like that has to come with like being intentionality and being disciplined, specifically with time. You know what I mean? So like making sure that like I'm waking up at a structured time every day. You know what I mean? To make sure that like I'm able to handle everything I need to handle. So my family, at the end of the day, man, and this is to you too, man. Like, the most impactful role you're going to have is being a father.
Right.
You know what I mean? The most impactful way you'll ever be able to help your community is to being the best father you can to your child. You know what I mean? Because that gets passed along. And so for me, it's like that's how, at the end of the day, that's my number one responsibility.
For sure.
I think about this often, man, and I guess we can kind of like wrap up with this, but it's like I always think about like I don't want like 20 years from now, I'm with my daughters and my wife, and someone comes up to us, because this happens now often, but like I'm with them and they're like, you know, telling my daughters like how much I had an impact in their neighborhood or something like that. And then my daughter's thinking like, I wish he would have, you know, been involved more in our lives, or I wish he would have had that impact in our home. Like, you know, and I don't want to be that person that my daughters look at and be like, oh, my dad did a lot for the community, but, you know, we didn't see him much. Because at the end of the day, what does it all matter? You know what I mean? No, like I see like this stuck with me, man. When you were getting ready to graduate from Maricosta College and going to the Mana celebration, you got up there and spoke, and you had someone open up a gift that you had for your dad, and it was a sweater of the university that you were attending, and just seeing the look on his face, like that is the victory that I want to have one day. Like, my daughters, you know what I mean? Like, just that relationship. And like, I think victory is like being that grandfather, you know what I mean? And having that legacy.
Yeah.
Like, because at the end of the day, man, you know how I see myself like 30, 40 years from now? Is like running an after-school program in Tri-City in the Valley somewhere, like some boxing gym with like tutoring, and I'm the old man who like opens up the door, but sometimes I'm asleep. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there goes Mr. Jimmy, he's napping again. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm there opening the door and telling some 15-year-old kid that I believe in him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, at 75, like that is to me like you know, yeah, that's where like I see myself like at. You know what I mean? Like, damn. And so. Yeah, man. It's continuing to plant seeds. Right. You know.
I know you're a busy man, but I want to find a way to just have these conversations. I feel so, like, my cup feels so full right now, just soaking up the game. Because, yeah, man, that's powerful. A lot of the stuff you was talking about is so powerful.
But it's reciprocated, man, because it's like I always tell people that, like, Fai's still at Oceanside High School. Right. You know, pouring into kids. And you know it's real when, like, even my resilience kids would tell me, like, man, I don't like so and so, like, as far as like teacher, whatever, they had a bad, but man, the only person I'm cool with talking to is Fai. And it's like, man, this dude's still out here now. He's having an impact on like 3 generations down. Deeper, yeah. And it's like, to me, that is the goal. You know what I mean? And then like when I saw him at the Simone Cultural Festival, and like I think his daughters are in college or something. They're like adults, right? And he was like, yeah, man, you remember when she was so and so, like. And it's just like, man, this dude to me is like the richest dude. You know what I mean? When I see that, it's like, to me, that is like what I want to be. For sure. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I think that's how we make our community better. For sure. You know? That's Jaden and Tasia's pops? I don't know his pop's name. Mom's name's Amy Pow Pow. She works at Maricosa? And yeah. She works on library. Yeah, she works on. Okay. There's so many of the pop out generation. I know. My pops all knows them, but I don't know all of them for sure who they are. But again, man, look at that. Like that is a Samoan community leader pouring into a Mexican kid. Right. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think that's what makes Oceanside like so beautiful. 'Cause some of the men that have had the biggest impact on my life weren't Mexican. You know, like I think about like Lamont. You know what I mean? Like Lamont has had. I love Lamont. Right, he's had a big impact on my life. Just seeing how like the kind of father he is with with his kids, and the kind of husband he is. Shout out my Thurmans. Yeah, and so like, and I met him like I was going to a church, New Venture, back when New Venture was around, like 20 years ago, and just like seeing the man he was. You know what I mean? Seeing how he was pouring into people, Pastor Sheldon. You know, so many Paul Pow, just so many people that like we're all Oceanside, and I think that's what connects us, and we can all have that impact on the next generation. 110. Yeah. We'll go ahead. This is the final goodbye right here. But if Rich, you've been doing this whole time, you've been speaking game. If you could have this platform to be able to talk to the city of Oceanside, the youth of Oceanside, whoever you want to address it to, like, what's kind of your like final little? I think, man, we're all better together. You know what I mean? Like, we can disagree on a lot of stuff because we're not going to agree on everything. But I think the more that we can, show love, to each other, I think unity is like the beautiful thing that I love about this city, and why I never want to leave this city. Right. And also, like, I think for me, if my life story, if I can say anything about it, is like, you just can't do it alone. You know what I mean? Like, there's people that are going to be in your life that are going to plant seeds. There's going to be other people that are going to water those seeds, and there's going to be other people that once, like, that vegetation or that, that tree is growing, that still have to maintain it. Mm-hmm. And, just tap in with people, always, like, seek mentors for the different seasons of your life, and always give back. That was something I used to tell my students when I was at Libby Lake, that I would always tell them, like, I understand that, like, I understand if you love Oceanside. I understand if you love Libby. Like, this is what I tell to Libby kids. But I also understand if, like, you go to college and you never want to come back. I get that, because some people, like, they've had a lot of trauma in their neighborhood, you know what I mean? Or, like, they don't want to come back because, like, it's not healthy for them to be back. Or they've just been called somewhere else. And I was like, that's okay. Like, you don't have to like operate with like survivor's guilt. I said, but just like wherever you go, just get back to that neighborhood. Get back to that community you moved to. If you move to Arizona, Vegas, Texas, wherever, like the East Coast, like find a place that you can give back to.
Right.
It doesn't have to be like where you grew up. You know what I mean? Because I think sometimes in Oceanside, we do have this thing of like feeling guilty for leaving, because now a lot of people get the opportunity to leave. I feel like I'm in a unique space that after I got my education, what it did for me was like, I no longer feel stuck in Oceanside. I'm never going to leave Oceanside, but I'm here based on choice now.
Right.
Like, and which makes, I appreciate the city in a whole different aspect, because I no longer feel like I'm confined by the walls of the city. I'm like, nah, man, I'm here by choice. Like, I'm choosing to be here, and I'm going to pour into this city. You know?
Beautiful. Yeah. I appreciate your time,
Yeah,
man,
man,
bro. More than you know, man. We got a lot. We're gonna have to come back for episode 2,
sure,
man. Because
Always,
we got,
man.
dude. We could do this on. I could keep going.
And then for the community, man, like now, like I've been telling everybody, like, because I'm on city council, you're on city council. You know what I'm saying? I gotta vote, you gotta vote. Like, we didn't have access to this third floor, now we do.
Right.
You know what I mean? We have been here
living
now.
proof for sure.
So it's like, and that's one thing that I want at least this office to represent. Like, nah, man, like this is for the community.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
Long live the mayor. Long live the mayor. Episode 2. It's a wrap, man. Tap in on all the socials. Thank you again, big bro Jimmy, for the energy, bro. That's, I'm trying to go save the world right now, bro. That's really how I feel, man. But yeah, man, thank you guys for tapping in. Episode 2, Motion of the Ocean. Tap in on all the socials, links below. Holla at you, baby.